And the soiree is at another historic house, the Lockwood Matthews Mansion. It's the first time ever, Saturday night, December 3rd, we're celebrating our soiree at another historic museum. So again, thank you for being here, and I'm going to introduce the sponsor of tonight's performance. His name is Robert Vaccaro, and he's with Liberty Mutual Insurance. And let's give him a warm Westport welcome.
So thank you very much for having me here tonight. This is something that came to, fix the microphone. This is something that came to fruition. I was talking with Suzanne Sheridan, who's multi-talented, and I work for Liberty Mutual. I've been working there for about 10 years, and we have a big program about teen driving and safe teen driving. And so I was just talking about it with her, and came up with this idea to do this as a joint venture. So I have these blue folders on your chairs, and I have some facts about teenage driving that I usually always talk to. I go to some local driving schools in the area to get in front of parents and their teenage drivers to start a conversation between the parents and their kids about some safe habits that they should be practicing. Teens all, for the most part, know that driving under the influence is not good. Few teens who admit to driving under the influence, yet 10% of teens who say they never drive under the influence admit they occasionally drive after having one drink. Which, as we all know, depending on what type of drink that is, and depending on how much you can handle, that one drink can be too much. Very few teens define driving under the influence as acceptable, yet 68% of teens admit that driving under the influence do so rarely after having more than 3 drinks. Majority of teens view driving under the influence as extremely or very distracting. And then 25% of teens who use designated drivers admit that even that designated driver isn't 100% sober. So that's something to keep in mind. Just because somebody says they're a designated driver doesn't necessarily mean that they should be driving. Talking and texting behind the wheel is one of the newest things that's become a major problem. And it's actually, if you talk and text or while you're driving, it's like you had 8-10 beers in you. It's worse. And if you drink and drive and text, you're in a really bad way. Everybody, nearly all teens understand that using a cell phone while driving is at least somewhat distracting, yet 86% of them admit to using a cell phone while they're behind the wheel. More than half the teens think texting and driving is extremely or very distracting, yet 68% admit to reading or replying to text messages while driving. And how many times you at a stoplight, look over and that person's texting. Causes accidents, distracted driving causes accidents. So that's something that's near and dear to my heart, is anytime you can prevent something from happening, that's what you want to do. So we created Liberty Mutual in combination with Students Against Destructive Decisions, a parent-teen driving contract. And this is something, if you're taking an insurance policy out for Liberty Mutual, that we ask that you fill out amongst yourselves. But it's basically a conversation starter between the parents and the kids. If you have that conversation with your kid, more than likely, if you set the ground rules like, hey, if you do X, Y, or Z, this is what's going to happen. If you text and I catch you texting while you're driving, you're not driving. If you get caught driving and under the influence, you're losing your license, X, Y, and Z is going to happen. If you go out past curfew, this is going to happen. If you get caught speeding, this is going to happen. It's basically, if you have that conversation, it's a very powerful conversation that if you have that between your son or your daughter, it's a memorable conversation. I always had the understanding with my father, no matter where I was, any time of day or night. If I did something stupid and I needed to get bailed out, he'd always be there for me. But at the same time, if I did something after we said don't do it, it'd be a problem. At the end of the day, it's about preventing lives from being taken too early, being lost too early, and a lot of the decisions that people are making don't realize that the decision they make affects innocent people all over the world. The last stat is like more than 1,100 fatal crashes involving young drivers are a result of either drinking or texting while driving. like that number to be 0. So it's with great pleasure, I'm going to step away here, but I really thank you for the opportunity. I hope everybody enjoys the show, and thank you very much again.
We didn't tell Rob that we were going to do this, but today is his birthday.
Happy birthday.
Just a little
How old are
happy
you?
birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rob. Happy birthday to you.
Let me give you a tissue to wipe away that sweat.
I know.
We get it almost every night. And when that moon gets big and bright, it's supernatural delight. Everybody was dancing in the moonlight. Everybody here is out of sight. They don't bark and they don't bite. They keep things loose, they keep things alive. Everybody was dancing in the moonlight. Dancing in the moonlight. Everybody feeling warm and bright. It's such a fine and natural sight. Everybody dancing in.
Good evening, welcome to the play. The play you're about to see is based on a true story. This is about a young man named Michael, attending his senior year in high school in 1974. As you know, the senior year is a high point in a person's life, filled with many exciting things like prom, dates, and parties, and planning the course you would like to travel in pursuit of obtaining a successful career and satisfying life. So let's sit back now and see how Michael's story about his senior year develops. Hi guys. Hi.
Hi.
Well, I'm Michael.
Hi, Michael.
When I was a teenager, like, none of you. I was a senior in high school. Everything looked good in my life. Okay, my grades were so-so. I was getting by, enjoying the ease of being a senior. The last year of high school. I had some good friends. Played the same ball teams. Huh? Raised a little hell. Yeah! Party! Man, we partied hard. And we chased the girls. And if we couldn't be with the ones we loved the ones we were with. Like you guys, we tried to lead a typical young American life till graduation day. That year, a scout from the New York Mets came to see my buddy Jeff pitch a game. Shit. I was so damn jealous I could almost spit. I mean, here's a guy who never let them see him sweat. I mean, crap just rolled right off his back like Robert Redford in that movie, The Natural. I mean, me? I had to work for every damn thing I got. Still came in second. Hey, don't get me wrong, I was still rooting for the guy. I just felt second rate.
This Thursday is a day and night you'll never forget. Never. Well, classes ended for me at 12:35 and I drove home in my car, 1970 Chevy. Parked my car in the garage because that day I was getting a ride to the game with my buddies, Teddy and Steve, in Teddy's Triumph GT6. Now, a Triumph GT6 has 2 front seats. Well, here we go. I had a light supper because I didn't want to be filled up, having to be pitching in a couple of hours. And I did my homework, packed my gym bag with my uniform, cleats, and glove. Then I read the sports pages. About 2:30, Teddy and Steve came by to pick me up. Now, a Triumph GT6 has 2 front seats and a small little place for storage. Now, a passenger can ride in this compartment as long as the journey is not that far. So, Steve and I flipped a coin. As it turned out, I'd ride in the back. Oh well, look at the flip, I guess. So, I climbed in and offered him to play some ball. Okay. The game that afternoon was a tough game. Jeff didn't pitch that well. I mean, he choked under the pressure of this scout from New York. The other team knew this too, giving up a lot of hits, scoring run after run, and finally, in the 5th inning, coach sent me in to relieve Jeff. Now, I wasn't even sure if the Met scout was still in the bleachers. Actually, at this point, I didn't really give a care. I just wanted to stop the bleeding and give our offense a chance to try and win the game. I did my best. I held their hitters down. But we lost anyway. And I found out the Met scouts stayed to watch the whole game too. Now I was ticked off. Especially when I saw him talking and smiling with Jeff. We just lost the game. And Jeff was smiling and laughing. Yeah, that ticked me off even more. You know, why me? Why now? This lousy guy can come up from New York to watch us play on a good day? No way. Not my luck. Then, all of a sudden I heard Coach call my name. Coach told me the Met scout wanted to speak to me. To me. So, I hustled over to him and I thanked him for coming from New York to watch us lose, and he simply said, "Yeah, good effort, son. You know, I'd like to come back and watch you pitch a game." And as fast as he said it, was as fast as he was going. My head was spinning. I was in the clouds. You want to come back and watch me pitch a game? I'm the New York Mets! Okay. You guys don't get it. Here we were, just got beaten by a team. We thought we were going to run off the field. We lost. Jeff got face to face with the New York Mets despite losing the game. Then got sweet talked by the New York Mets. And to top it off, he wanted to come back and watch me pitch a game. We had some celebrating to do. Party! Yeah! So, as a team, we decided to cross state lines and buy some beer. Now, the reason we were going to cross state lines was because it was after 8 p.m. And after 8 p.m. in my state, you can't buy beer. Cross state lines, beer was still for sale. Oh my God, here we go. Yeah! Live and let die. Boom. And then I got a ride with Teddy, sitting in the front seat, and Steve got a ride with Dave and his mom's station wagon. I mean, we're gonna make it there in no time. So, here we were. We met in the parking lot to pool our money together and discuss our purchasing power and buy the beer. So, we bought the beer. We met again in the parking lot to talk about the game that night and to figure out why we lost to those guys. You know, as it turned out, we never came to a conclusion why we lost and figured we'd take care of it tomorrow. So, I got a ride with Teddy, sitting my butt in the front seat, and Steve got a ride with Dave in his mom's station wagon, again, and off we went. Teddy and I left the parking lot first leading the way. I mean, we were flying, racing down the road, not a care in the world. It reminds me now of a verse from a song I used to on the radio from time to time. It goes something like this. Yeah.
I've heard the story of how I raced before the things were said. Because that story was true, I'm here to say I was driving up.
I'm a little tipsy. What's up? We're hauling.
Over and it's really souped up.
No seatbelts.
And it's looked like the pubs and I ain't cylinders and use them all. Another drive, just where it's going.
The telephone poles look like a big fence. I mean, we were flying. You know, I looked over at the speedometer, and the needle was between 90 and 100 miles per hour, which means we were going well over 100 miles per hour because I was seeing the meter on an angle from the passenger side. Then all of a sudden, he lost control of the car. So he tries to downshift. The gears lock. He hits the brakes. The brakes lock. And we begin to skid. I'll never forget the screeching sound of those tires trying to stop that car. While this is happening, we didn't utter a word, or make a sound to each other. We were just holding on, trying to survive the ride. I mean, we were swerving off onto the other side of the road, off onto the shoulder of the road. You know, we were lucky no one was coming in the other direction because we would have gotten into a terrible accident. I mean, we were lucky. Yeah, lucky. My next move was sort of out of desperation and reflex. I pulled my legs out from under the dashboard and placed them on top of the dashboard, kind of coiling into a ball. I looked out in front of us and saw that we were heading for a big pile of dirt and a big black shadow. Right before we hit, I coiled up as tight as I could get, sort of trying to make sure that nothing would get torn off. I remember I clenched my teeth together like a vice grip. I mean, you would have needed a crowbar to pry my teeth apart. And when we hit the pile of dirt, it flipped us head on at full speed into the big black shadow. And then all of a sudden, it felt like my face exploded. And suddenly everything around me, especially me, was in a state of complete peace, like my body had shifted into neutral. But I'll get into that later. Now, getting back to the big black shadow, this happened to be a bulldozer parked in front of a pile of dirt. When we hit the pile of dirt, it flew us into the plow head on at full speed. I was lucky, okay? I pulled my legs out from under the dashboard and placed them on top of the dashboard. From the angle of the way the car smashing into the plow, the engine of the car smashed through the car's engine wall, came to a stop, right at the bottom of my seat. If I didn't pull my legs out from the bottom of the car, I would have lost my legs at the sockets. But lucky for me, I stayed in one piece, falling into a coma. From the impact of the car, smashing into the bulldozer, and my head slamming against the ceiling when it flipped. I know what you're thinking. It serves them right, those fools. Drinking and driving. You have to remember, we were kids. Nothing like this could happen to us. Or so we thought. Now, I would like to tell you what it's like being in a coma. The last thing I remember before the lights went out was hearing the sound of those screeching tires trying to stop that car. And then a loud smash. And suddenly everything around me, especially me, was in a state of complete peace. Like my body shifted into neutral. Felt like I was just floating around, not really knowing what was going on, what was going to happen next. I guess you might say I was in for the time of my life. I just didn't know that it was going to be a bad, very bad time of my life. I kept telling myself that everything was all right. I'm okay. I had to go to school tomorrow and hand in that extra makeup homework for extra credit that I needed. I finally got caught up, and I wanted to hand that homework in. But it felt like this was kind of a dream. Things were not really making any sense. They say dreams come true sometimes, even the bad ones. At that moment, my journey began. A journey I wouldn't wish upon anyone. Being in a coma was very confusing. My thoughts started drifting, like changing channels on a television set. People, places, things started popping into my mind like some crazy slideshow. I saw my car parked in my dad's garage. Hey, maybe if I took my car that night, instead of getting a ride with my buddies, none of this would have ever happened. I mean, there's so many variables to choose from. Where am I going to start? All of a sudden, I'm playing baseball in Little League. My favorite sport, baseball. I always had a dream of pitching in the professional leagues, professional baseball. And all of a sudden, I'm playing basketball on the high school CYO basketball team with my cousin who lives next door. Parties I went to in my life, events, birthdays, weddings, Christmas, anniversaries, high school dances. My thoughts never really settled on one particular party or event. They were all just smashed together, a little here, a little there. All of a sudden, I'm buying my first car. And then, I'm on the water. I don't know why I'm on the water. I'm either fishing or water skiing, but there I was, on the water. Okay, now it's starting to get confused and a little worried. I don't know why, but I felt uneasy. So much was going through my mind at once. Time was passing by very fast, you see. Everything was just happening too fast. You see, time in a coma means absolutely nothing. It's like dominoes, falling, one right after another. And believe me, there's no turning back the hands of time. I'm fading. In and out. What's really going on? I hear my mom and my dad talking to me. They're in the hospital room. I want to reach out and touch them and let them know that I'm right here and that I'm okay. I hear them. It's almost a whisper. I want to reach out, Mom. I'm trying, but I can't. I can't. Mom. Dad? I keep telling myself to wake up. Get up. And get moving. I've got places to go. People to see. But my body won't listen to me. I guess I have a break in the flow of internal communication. My body's shifted into neutral. It won't operate no matter what I do or say. My body's not responding. I guess my body's dead. My thoughts start drifting again like changing channels on a television set. Only I don't know what station or what channel is going to happen next. I'm playing basketball with my buddies. Or with my friend Teddy's house. Those games are always a lot of fun. It was set up in his father's tennis court. It wasn't that clay flooring, it was that It was that new type of outdoor foam flooring, which was great for basketball games. All of a sudden, I hear my dad. I recognize his voice. He says, "Hi, Mike. How you doing today?" As he asks me every day. I guess he asks this with the hope that I'll answer him someday soon. Someday real soon. What, Dad? Man, he just keeps talking. He's just talking about what's going on at home, in town, in the news. Keep me up to date on the latest and greatest. Oh wow, he's reading the sports pages. He knows I love the sports pages. What? Yeah! The Yankees won again! Oh God, why? Why me? Why now? Tell me, why does it have to be me? Oh, I know. I've done some bad things in my life. Okay? I goofed around in school. I got in a couple of fights. And I won. Yes, God. When I was younger, I threw eggs at cars on Halloween. I confess, okay? I know who stole a tape deck from a car and I helped cover it up by lying about it. And I lied. Everybody has done something in their life that breaks rules every now and then. Tell me, why do I have to suffer like this? I've been a pretty good guy. I thought I crossed all my T's and dotted all my I's. Tell me, why do I have to pay for such small mistakes in my life? Oh, God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. God, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. Oh, wow. I can hear my mom and my sister. I recognize their voices. It's just a mumble. I can make out a word here and there, but not a full sentence. Oh, they're crying. I feel their tears hit my face when they lean over me. Mom, I'm sorry. I wish I could tell you that I'm right here and that everything's all right. I just wish I could reach out to both of you and tell you that I'm right here with you. I'm right here. I'm right here. I wish I could talk to you. I just wish I could talk to you, but I can't. I can't. Mom, I'm so sorry to hurt you like this. Suddenly I'm running. Where? Why? Who to? I don't have a clue. So I just keep running. I'm in a green field of grass. And I'm running in a big field of green, but I can't feel my feet hit the ground when I'm running. I mean, I guess it's grass by color association. What else could it be? It's brightly lit all around me. So I think it's daytime, but if it's daytime and I can't see the sun in front of me, then that means the sun has to be behind me. But I can't see my shadow. There should be a long, dark shadow on the ground in front of me if the light's behind me, but I can't see my shadow anywhere. These 4 words keep running through my mind like letters on a roadside billboard. Why me? Why now? Why? I don't see my shadow.
You've just seen and heard the story about Michael, a student in his senior year in high school. The story is classified as a casualty, or better yet, a statistic of a young person living bigger and faster than they should. Michael was a good student. He crossed all his T's and dotted all his I's. He just wanted to be one of the guys, a follower. He didn't think anything bad could ever happen to him. Never. But instead of becoming a statistic or follower in someone else's life, he should have shot for the sun in everything he did. Because even if you miss, you land among the stars. And that isn't a bad place to be. Oh, one more thing. Michael.
You've just heard a story about a young man named Michael who was the victim of a car accident caused by drinking and driving. That young man was me, Michael Krysiuk. 42 years ago in 1974. You've only heard the part about the accident and what it was like being in a coma. What you didn't hear was a long journey to recovery, full of ups and downs, anger at myself for being in that situation, and the frustration I felt that my body would not do what my mind wanted to do. When I finally recovered from the coma, I was quadriplegic and only able to roll my eyeballs. I was 6 feet 6 inches tall and 66 pounds. This was a result from being in a coma for 7 weeks, only being fed intravenously. I had to have a trach to help me breathe, so I couldn't talk. You might say that my body shifted into neutral. I first started getting movement in my arms, hands, and fingers. From the waist down, nothing. My dad, every day, he knew I was ticklish before the accident, so he'd come in and tickle the bottom of my foot just to see if it would move. One day, he came in with his thumb, he popped the bottom of my foot. It went into a muscle spasm. Oh, did it hurt. The worst cramp you could ever feel. But at least it was moving. At least it was moving. In a few days, I had the tracheotomy removed. So they wanted to have me eat food and gain my weight back. This one day, when I had visitors in the room, they were all talking, but I was watching TV and I couldn't hear it because they were talking. Out of the frustration of not being able to speak, my mouth was moving, I couldn't get anything out. All of a sudden, I got this two-word phrase out. Shut up! Well, that started everybody talking. Laughing and crying. Because they knew I was getting better. I was using my body again and I was recovering. Every waking moment, I did some sort of therapy, trying to re-educate my brain and my body. I was like a newborn baby. First, learning how to crawl. Then, I read out loud as a form of therapy because I had a very, very bad stuttering problem due to the accident. It was a long, frustrating time because my brain knew how to do it, but my body didn't have a clue. From that moment, though, we all realized I could come back. But it was 7 months of hard work, full of physical therapy and occupational therapy at the Norwalk Hospital and then in Gillard Hospital in Wallingford, Connecticut, until I was able to come home. At 17, I was like every other 17-year-old boy. Nothing bad was ever going to happen to me. Nah, I crossed my T's, dotted my I's, but I was walking in other people's shadows. I got lost in those shadows and almost lost my life. In closing, I hope that you having listened to my story tonight, it has opened your eyes and made you aware of the many dangers and tragic results that can happen from the toxic mix of drinking and driving, and nowadays, texting and driving. Thank you very much for coming this evening.
Thank you. We're willing to stay and answer any questions, particularly Mike probably, and maybe Hooper, but would you like to ask questions?